Welcome back to Sarasota, Florida, the Sarasota Polo Club, and the site of the final of this year's UPA Ultimate Club Championship Series. This is the Open Men's, and it's going to be quite a game. I'm Michael Baccarini. Tina Booth is with me, and we're going to be taking in the action of these great squads. Can you tell us about them, Tina?
I sure can, Michael. We're all set for a West Coast Classic matchup. On one side of the bracket, we have the Santa Barbara Condors. They arrived in the finals by eliminating Jam in the semis 15-12. On the other side, we have Vancouver's Furious George, and in one of the best games of the tournament so far, they sent Ring of Fire packing in the semis by a score of 13-12.
So these two teams are going to provide some high-level action. A lot of build-up to this point, long season. These two teams have been dominating all the major events for the last 3 years. Condors won the UPA title in 2000-2001, and then Furious captured it last year, besting Ring in the finals. So now we're going to see how they do head-to-head here. This ought to be something else. It's the last final of the tournament. The crowd is assembled. They're fired up and excited about the game. Condors will be pulling. They're in the black jerseys. And Furious is wearing their whites. And we're off. Here we go. Furious receiving. Jeff Cruikshank with the disc. Big lefty. And of course, he puts up a big lefty to Mike Grant for the first score of the game to Drew Ludson, number 9. Just like that. 1 up.
Unlike the other finals, this is not a battle to see who's going to go to Finland. Both of these teams will be in Turku, Finland in August of 2004. Santa Barbara will be representing the U.S., and Furious will be representing Canada. So this is not to say the game's not important. It's certainly important for both these teams to test each other against each other.
Well, the UPA title is no small reward. I mean, certainly this is a big one to capture. They want it bad. Furious will be pulling upwind. It's a diagonal breeze, a pretty stiff one at that. You got to power it through. Notice it's staying low. It's hard to get the disc that far down the field on a pull, but they did a pretty good job of it. These guys have strong pulls. So we're seeing some spread out flow offense from the Condors. Furious has a poacher in the middle playing a little junk. Oh, and near a block coming from the backside. No call on that, even though there was definitely contact. James Studaris with the disc. Launches a big one down the field. Oh! Jumps up high to get the block. Rick Melner for Furious. The defense puts it back in play. Playing a man-to-man, it appears as Condors are the Condors. And there's a flick going up high, and defensive play coming in late. Is there a foul called? Nope. Oh, yes, there was a foul called, and it's not contested. Good aggressive defensive play. Melner, who got the block, pardon me, is the receiving end of that huck. And will now put it in play. Fake on the forehand, a pick quickly called. Okay, Adam Glim is on the mark. As Melner looks to put it in play, we're hearing some discussion about the situation, people pointing out who they're guarding, where they want them to be positioned. Now they're set to go. Disc is checked in. Melner hits the dump. Still in the forehand corner and a quicks, but he's open by virtue of a pick. So that'll be coming back. We'll do that one again. So these red zone opportunities upwind are critical. It's hard to get there. Got to convert. The how close they are in that corner. It looks like it's set up to go away from that corner by how tight they are. I want to maybe get some misdirection. Here it goes, and no continue, but a big break attempted by a lefty. And that was either pushed to the ground by a point block or just too low a release by the thrower. So Furious is back on D. John Frames on the mark. I would assume Studaris will pick up the disc. A little bit of a delay of game here. Oh, nice. Looks like Frames asking him to put things in play. Forcing backhand. Definitely a junk D here. Switching up front by the shallow defenders. Okay, we had a quick double team call, I believe, there. No two defenders can be within 3 meters of the thrower. Only one of them can break that barrier. In this case, it looks to be Evan Wood. Okay, with him on the mark, the other Furious defender has to back out after the double team and across the field. Oh, it hops up over the defender. Furious with a quick snag and a D. We're going to look to get it at this point over with. Pass to the dump. You're hearing the shout of no IO. They only wanted to go that direction for just such a defensive opportunity. Great effort there by the Furious defender. Oh, we've got a call. I'm going to throw this hammer. Be ready. And there's the fake and the flick up line, but not enough air under that disc. So Studaris will put this back in play again.
This seems to be an uncharacteristic amount of turnovers for these two teams. We're already at 4, and I know both those teams pride themselves on only having 4 turns in a half or even a whole game.
Yep. A game of keep away, this is key. Got to maintain possession, particularly in the wind. Even more so upwind. You can give up possession downwind because you know the other team has to fight so hard to come back. And here, Condors are striking quickly. And a nifty spike. Not much of a reaction by the crowd celebrating the spike. They like the score, though.
Tie game at 1.
Both scores have been downwind so far, Tina. Though Furious had 2 opportunities there in the red zone, they couldn't convert. So Furious brings in their starting offense. Some of the players on the Furious team, Tina, were on the Canadian junior team over in Heilbronn, Germany. They had a fantastic final. Came up short to the Swedish team, was very talented, but had a big lead. 2 of these players, Oscar Pottinger and Derek Alexander, play an awful lot for this great Furious team. They're both on right now on offense. It's great to see young players playing such a formidable role on such great teams. Ludson with the disc. Furious is gobbling up big chunks of yardage. Lots of constant movement. Always a dump option. Several options in the first 4 or 5 seconds of a count. Was a lot of pressure on a thrower, but these guys are finely tuned. Like Joe Montana looking off several options in a matter of seconds and choosing just the right one, hopefully. There's another turn. Great block. Kind of looked more like a coverage sack, really. They didn't have a whole lot going on there and had to throw to the dump, but the dump just wasn't that open. Not good separation. field. Ooh. Mike Namkung, a great defender. Just point block there with a foot block on the mark. Mark Roberts got the block for Furious. And now Crookshank, great lefty dynamite thrower. Lots of movement here, constant motion. Makes it difficult to know which side of your defender, of your receiver to be on when you're defending. Alexander's got the disc. This guy's 20 years old, Tina.
Man.
Playing a prominent role on, right now, one of the most dominant teams on our planet.
You know, I love how the juniors teams are moving up to the club.
Feeding players to the upper levels, already seasoned by good direction. And ooh, wow. Well, Alexander tried to get that one off. Another point block. The Condors pulled that one back and got another opportunity to get an upwind break here. Starting with a squaring pass across the field. Undercut. Oof. Not a lot of margin for error.
Well, mackerel.
Great effort to just get to that. And he's calling it down. I didn't catch it. Good call.
You gotta love how quickly these guys settle any arguments and continue playing.
Holy cow!
Man!
Namkung came out of nowhere to get that block.
Yeah, he poached off his guy, laid out. I don't even think the receiver saw him coming. Landed hard.
Wow, what an effort! Seems to me when you're moving like that, and the disc is in the end zone, all bets are off. Don't worry about who your receiver is. If you can make a play on the disc, there is no next pass. Go get it, and boy, did he go! Well, that was shoulder high block. Came kind of spiking down on his head and left shoulder though. That had to be painful. He seems to be showing no ill effects so far though. All right, so Condors with the disc again, working the forehand sideline. Wow, another great effort. Oscar, and now it goes up, and a trailing edge effort there by the Condor player, and just beyond his reach. Wow, phenomenal. Good upwind put, Tina.
Yeah, it's a difficult catch to make. I think the thrower had a little bit too much adrenaline going through his veins and just put it out there a little bit too far. Magnificent effort, though.
So from end to end, here we go. Few passes to get there. These boys can really crank it. That wind is not nearly as much a factor, although did you see how the disc tailed off to the right? It didn't have enough power to keep holding that line upwind. Alexander has it. High release backhand to Mike Grant. Slight break. Okay, they're still in just outside their end zone, about 15 yards. Drew Ludson is looking, pivoting back and forth. Sends a backhand up the line, knowing the wind's going to bring that back in, but oh, just not quite enough touch. Looking for Mike Grant for a big gainer. You'll hear a lot of Mike Grant, I have to assume, in this game. He's a lot of people seem to figure one of the best players around. He's got a complete game, Tina.
Isn't he nursing some kind of injury?
Oh, yesterday in the semis, he had a spectacular high-flying dive for a big huck and tried to catch the trailing edge of a disc, and just at the last second came down and then sort of on his elbow and subluxed his shoulder, slightly dislocated, it appeared, but was able to play. It didn't come out of joint. Well, here's another big one. Crookshank's in position for that. Some contact, but no call. Good, clean, hard effort. That was anybody's disc. That was not meant to be caught by the receiver when it's hanging like that. And Ludson with the disc. Grant's got it. Pivots back to the backhand, sends it to the middle. Oh, and Namkung launches again. They're discussing it. He got a piece of that disc, but did he get body first? I think that's going to be the discussion here. Mark Roberts on the receiving end of that Mike Grant pass. Looks like they're already just going directly to the observer. Mike Grant with a bit of a chuckle is going, all right, let's settle this, fellas. I want to play.
Hey, Don.
Okay, it's going back to Roberts. It was ruled that that was a foul. Seems they agree, or agreed to disagree, and they're going to play on. Back in play. A lot different from the Masters final. We might have had a 3 or 4 minute argument there.
You trying to win an understatement contest, Michael? Because you just won.
Alexander squirts up line. Ludson finds him. There's a skinny lane there we're working with. Alexander's got to be looking to get it off the line, and he does. Wow, across the mark with a backhand. And again to Grant. Good use of the field, trying to square passes to give themselves more room to work with. And there's a great laying bid by yet again Mike Nampton. What a stellar defensive effort on that point. But Mark Roberts reels it in.
Here's again another high turnover point. There were 8 turnovers, and with the score 2-1, there have been 12 turns so far in this game. Not an impressive number for the stat freaks out there.
Well, if you're a stat freak.
Like you.
I'm a stat freak, but I'm an action freak. That was some pretty stellar action there. Some great efforts on both offense and defense. Some big shots taken, but these guys are also feeling out the wind. They're going to spend the first few points here finding out what they can do and can't do. And I'm sure we'll see the turnover total diminish. So now the Condors set to receive with their starting offense. The Condors still at this point, something they're known for, they don't call subs. They self-sub. Nobody discusses it. They just sort of go on when it's their time to go on the field. And I guess you kind of just feel the moment. Studaris is always on, though. Well, and look at that, a huck. There it goes the distance. Can somebody run fast enough to run this down? No. It's actually a re-pull. How'd you go in there? Come on, team.
Now, Michael
work with me, work with me.
no idea what they were going to do.
So it looks like Flo, the observer there, raised a hand, and nope, no hand raised there. That's a clean pull, and this one will be fielded by the Condors. And this one lands on the line slightly out of bounds, as you see the observer indicate.
Now, getting back to what you said, Michael, about the Condors calling their own subs, or they just sub organically, I just think that's a marvelous tribute to how well they know each other and how egoless you have to be in order to know when to take yourself out.
I bet there's plenty of ego on that team, but I think they can put it aside for that function to work enough. They know who their players are. They know who should be on the field in the right situations. There's another point block. This one might be a foul, though. Yep. It's coming back, and notice their spread setup here. Playing with 2 lateral dumps. Sort of a horizontal stack downfield, keeping things well spread out, constant motion, multiple options for the thrower. He's looking dump, doesn't have dump, throws a flat, sort of inside-out throw to break the mark. Really sort of a flat forehand. Sort of a misnomer, the inside-out. People refer to I.O. and ultimate, or the inside-out forehand or backhand. Doesn't necessarily have to go to the break side or be tilted like a classic inside-out throw. That was just a flat forehand, but his receiver was heading to the break side. Now that's a bending flick to the break side and outside in. Look at this motion. It's an easy score to Brandon Steets.
Tie game at 2s with some nice flow. I'm amazed at how much all of them keep moving. Andy Cruz had both of the Condors assists in this game so far.
That's Steets' first goal. He's a hard-working athlete. Looks like he's been working on those sideburns like Butch Brown was on the refugees, too.
Michael, you're going to come in on the facial hair of all the male players throughout the tournament?
I don't know, being somebody who sports some facial hair at times myself, it seems like a trend in the game to have some creative facial hair structures.
Or we're just begging for major sponsorship from Gillette.
Hey, there's a good idea. Okay, that pull sails out of bounds, so that'll be a brick. Now that's one pull where the pulling team may have been offsides, but you don't want to call it on that. That's heading out of bounds, and you're going to get it at the brick mark, 20 yards upfield. Okay, Alexander has it. Whoa, a quick pop-up sort of push pass, high release, hoity-toity kind of thing, and Ludson somehow pulls it down with the defender draped all over him. Mike Grant with big wide pivoting. He's such a flexible player. He scooted on his pivot foot a little bit there. It's going to be tough to toe the line, but they do. Mark Roberts reels it in.
Furious is up 3-2. It's Mike Grant's second assist and Mark Roberts' second goal.
These guys are flowing fabulously, and this goal happened in a hurry. It started with a sort of sketchy but about the only choice that Derek Alexander had, and boom, 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 down the field. Mike Grant puts up the big one. The wind was helping that throw, and he gave it just the right edge to hold the line. Just inside the line, Mark Roberts caught it with a few yards to spare. It's a beauty. There has yet to be an upwind break, Tina.
Well, these teams are clearly evenly matched, and perhaps that's my entry into the understatement contest.
All right, we're even. All right, Mr. Fender, not to be confused, not Freddie Fender, it's his Flo Fender. He's from Berlin, Germany. He's one of the top observers here. He's in position here to call the offsides. Keep an eye on him as the puller pulls. Nope, no hand going up. Of course, we couldn't quite see him from our angle. Clean pull, it looks, and Sidaris puts it in play to Dugan, it appears. Steve Dugan, a fine player. So tough to guard. Playing way off these fellas. Defender out. Sort of poaching off the deep man. He's going to have to recenter himself. They're doing a switching, adding a switching component to the D here. Playing man, but having a deep poach, and well, it's more of a clam, I guess, Tina.
Yeah.
And there's a block. Will this be our first break of the game? Here's inside out. In the middle of the field, just outside the red zone. Got about 10 or so yards more to go to get there. Getting close. A good position on the field, right in the middle. Horizontal stacking. Dugan used a big layout block. Looks like he was on the arm of the furious player. Michael Enns, number 10, he's got it. Gonna put it back in play. He's offering a disc with his left hand. He's gonna pull it away and stick it in his right. He's got a forehand grip quickly. That's the fore side. Ooh, and we had a catchable disc right there. It was dropped unforced. Studars throws a hammer across field. Nice soft touch and a big put. And there we go. Condors hold the downwinder.
We're tied at threes. This is JD's second goal, and I just have to say that I'm going to show that footage over because I love that placement of that huck. They didn't try to throw it in the same third of the field. Threw it flat. The receiver ran right to it. Defender didn't have a chance. It's one of the things I try to teach my kids all the time.
Well placed. Well, Furious had a chance. They were approaching the red zone and couldn't quite punch it in again. They've had the two upwind opportunities, more than two, but 2 points where they've had opportunities to get the upwind break. We haven't seen one yet. So Furious receiving, coming downwind again. Crookshanks, a lefty, fabulous thrower to Oscar, back to Grant. Mike Grant can get around almost any mark, especially with that around backhand. It's just off in a hurry. Gets there so fast. He's very quick. Great reach. Okay, Crookshank hits the squaring swing, dump on to Grant. Good movement here. Out in front of Ludson. Can he reel it in? He does. Great catch. Great put.
It's 4-3 Furious. It's Mike Grant's third assist of the game and Drew's second goal.
Nice play. We're going to be hearing a lot of the same names from these teams when they're on offense. Most of the teams at this level have a small rotation on offense. They'll be starting the same 7, 8, 9, the most 10 players on offense. And so they get a lot of the action. The rest of the guys are mostly defensive players, and you just keep bringing those guys in to, you know, give you strong legs over and over and over and wear down the opposing team's few offensive players. But they're so efficient, they can stay on the field. They're supposed to score, and they often do at this level. So we're going to be hearing a lot of those names over and over. Let's see whose names we hear from the Condor side as they're receiving here. Sudaris gets the first pass from Adam Glim. Out to the side. All right, they've spread things out. They're working the flick side here. Sort of a flat mark. Again, a cut back in from Dugan. He gets fouled on the mark. Steve Dugan gets down low and has his strong releases. He lets a strong one go here. Too strong. Intended receiver was, well, one of those two guys. Brandon Steets, one of them. They're unable to reel it in. Looks like they're setting a zone. Looks conventional zone. There's a 3-person cup approaching. As Furious is setting up here, Tina.
Yes, the first, our first look at some conventional zone defense.
Thanks, Andre.
Sidaris on the mark.
I'm interested to see how exactly they're going to work it through. That's how they're going to do it.
Ooh, going over the top. All right. That point came to a screeching halt for Furious. They'd gotten the D. Now they're going to have to do it again. Had him on the mark. Stadaris. Big fake. Gets off the inside-out flick. I should say the break mark flick. Glim's got it. And that's Melner, pardon me. Rick Melner, 0-0. His cup is a 4-person cup, but it's sort of shading toward the backhand side. It appears fluidly moving around, though, and stepping in, taking away would-be poppers and dumps. Big swing pass. Nice through pass, and continuing on. Keeping it moving. Don't want that cup to set. Through the cup nicely, and continuing beyond. That's great work against the zone. And out in front, where only a receiver's going to reel it in, or is a defender in time? He is! Great defense.
I thought that was a point.
Looks like that was Tommy Burfine.
That was some nice movement through the cup. Quick throws. Cup couldn't reset, but they're deep. Deep has some serious wheels.
And some height at 6'6". Okay, you notice after that block, he did not pick up the disc. He could have quickly picked it up or been the one to start the offense, but with this structure in a horizontal stack, 2 lateral dumps, 3 actually, sort of like a German offense from a couple years back. Several lateral dumps and then isolated downfield cutters coming back in and cutting away. They have it set up again. Looks like Sudaris has the disc again, and he's in a good position in the middle third. It's a good place to operate from. Cutter coming back in, but he chooses the deep look. Look at that put, and almost just beyond the outstretched hand of Burfeind. Up, low pass, and then a nice break. Continue flick. Not too much of a break. Holding the same line, now open side flow. Sedaris is applying the pressure with that right hand, kind of on the back of the thrower. It's interesting. There's a Burfeind from end to end again, stepping up to get the block. He didn't have to go up too high to get that one. Came right back into his reach. You got a lot of reach when you're 6'6". There's room for lots of short, quick, powerful, explosive cutters in this game, but we're seeing a lot more of towering players. Probably have some basketball background, maybe some tight ends in college football. They're good in the air to have. It's great to have those big fellas. Here goes a big throw. Toe to toe. Oh, and Steets is deed. He called a foul or a strip. Yep, he's saying he was touched here. Michael Land's got the block. I'm not sure the crowd is crazy about that. Well, they might be crazy about it, but not in the way Steets is. He thinks he was fouled, and he's trying to discuss it. Defender was definitely coming from behind, and as he comes from behind, you've got to launch past a receiver without touching him in order to get that disc. You've got to get all disc. Steets may have even had it in his hand. Well, it looks like they've settled it, though. If it had been in his hand and then knocked out, it'd been a strip, but it looked like he was saying he hit my arm. But looks like the observers either help with the decision or, let's give the fellas credit, Steets and Hens settled it, and we're playing on with a successful D by Furious. Got a long way to go. They're about 3 yards deep in their end zone. Not just looking at the Condor D, but that wind as well.
I think, Michael, that they've had to adjust to the wind all week, but they're still a little trigger happy.
And it seems like they're definitely taking their shots downwind, and those seem understandable. The upwind shots seem to be holding in the wind, and they're just turning into jump balls. And Burfeind is down there. It's kind of tough to complete it over him. Remember, this is Furious. This is their defensive team.
So you're saying they don't have throws, Michael?
No, not saying that, but it looks like they don't have their tallest defenders in either. So they're probably thinking downwind puts are more about staying with your receiver. You can run with them. You've got the speed, height's a little bit negated because the disc isn't hanging. But upwind, they don't seem to pull down those hanging ones. They haven't got the height to contend with Burfeind and Husak, and those guys are going up big. I'm not sure the discussion here. Is there a foul? Placement of players is being situated. Here we go. Melner has it. It's sort of a lateral, slightly diagonal dump. Back to Melner. These guys are working it back and forth, hoping to crack the code of this Condors Cup. Sort of a clammish zone. That's really a three-person cup, Tina. Dugan appears to be short deep. It's pretty conventional now that you look at it. Okay, there's a dump back to Melner. And a nice pop through, continuing on. Good fake to continue. It's okay to go backwards there. You've got good separation, and the cup has been stretched out now as they inch their way back in. We've got a furious timeout called by number 12, Al Nichols. It's a good time for a timeout, Tina.
Yeah, they had 7 turnovers so far on this point. They need to settle down. They really remind me of any team that can't quite get through the zone. Way too many turns for teams of this caliber.
But then add to that the wind. That's certainly added to the pressure of the point. Having to work against that is like an extra defender. Okay, the timeout is over, and we're ready to get things underway. Nichols is in possession of the disc with Brandon Steets on the mark. Had a great career at UC Santa Barbara as a college player. Back to Milner. Lots of big fakes, but you have to respect these guys' fakes, even if it's an unlikely throw in a situation. These guys will throw that throw. All right, we're working the disc back and forth, looking for a weakness. Nice catch, having to go up high, up line. Good continuing on, John Frame gives it up, and another pass for the score. That was some quick action.
5-3 Condors. And again, they work it up that sideline, but it's so quick. There's no hesitation. It's not jammed. And the defense is scrambling to catch up.
You know, great teams work really hard on that timing. To get flow to occur like that takes a lot of practice and dedication. And it's not just timing your cut. It's thinking ahead of that. A pass, 2 passes ahead. What do I have to do to set up the next cut 2 passes from now? That might take you someplace where you don't think you're very useful in the moment, but 1 pass goes up, boom, suddenly you've had your set your defender up, and now you're in